On.
set that we have.
Okay. I think we're time. Ready to go?
6 o'clock.
I guess we can get going, right?
Who's running this thing?
That would be me.
All right.
Alrighty, we're gonna call the meeting to order. It is 1800. So next we'll do roll call. Oh, I need to do that, right? Probably in my minute. Chief Frank Alanis,
Present.
Chris Lilly,
Present.
since Bernice Marty Stahl was in for Tim Gatto, she's absent. John Pettis, Chief.
Here.
Brian Cephala,
I'm in for him.
and Vice Mayor Michael Alonso. Tim Gatto's president, Justin Klink. That's Joyce Lopez.
Present.
And
Ruby.
so,
Ruby.
point of order, these are ex officio positions, so it's 2 members of fire, 2 members of police, 2 members of Rio Tinto. As long as you have those, you have your
Quorum.
report. But it can be any member of that organization who is assigned by that organization.
We do have enough quorum. Next item, I believe, is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we move on to 4, the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes of the meeting on November 21st, 2019. The minutes are attached. Rick? Did anybody have anything to,
I have no changes.
on the minutes, you don't have any changes? Do we
Move to approve.
have a motion to approve the minutes? Second? Chief Alanis, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, move on to item 5, on the new business. In May, discussion on quarterly drills. First one being task drills, review and discussion.
So I was supposed to bring a handout tonight, and I just suddenly read my notes here and I realized I didn't bring it. We had a business resilience team exercise. I'm gonna say it was the second week of December, does that sound about right?
Sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the second week of December, and it involved, it was a multi-stage incident that escalated. On the prior meetings, we decided that we were gonna give you a write-up that described what I just did. But it was an escalating incident that took essentially all shift to resolve and involved helicopter and rescue personnel coming down, and later passed away, later were deceased off-site. In this particular BRT incident, we had a third party become involved. We had the Arizona State Mine Inspector put a call in the next day and ask about, we understand that there was a deceased person on your site. And so it was very interesting that, we sent, letters to them to say, this wasn't the case. But I'll include that in the minutes, in the next meeting, so with the description, I apologize, I should have had that for you tonight. Of course, we didn't have an injured person, which was an exercise.
Any learnings from it?
Yeah, I think, the single biggest learning was that communication with our third-party regulatory staff. That not only are we involving the local folks, but we're also involving more of the state and federal folks to let them know that we have an exercise underway on that day, and we involve helicopters and such, and that if you hear any chatter from that, that's the biggest thing. You wanna share some of the other weddings?
I wasn't there.
Oh, all right, well, that's the single biggest one. I'll give you a write-up on for the next meeting.
It was a pretty good drill. I thought I was on it as well, you know, I was chief of the fire and, you know, we did have another real incident in town during that drill. We had enough people to handle it and we were able to handle that and the drill at the same time, so, you know, that went pretty good considering it.
You know, interestingly enough, in this one, because it was an escalating one, it took the whole shift to get to a point where internally, we had to change the approach several times in how we interacted with you, how we interacted with our teams, how we interacted with greeting family members. It's a good learning experience for us because it teaches our younger leaders in our business how to have those conversations. Because you have to have the conversations, right? They have to happen.
Is that it for one?
Yeah.
2 upcoming drills. I just wanted to briefly talk about that. So our plan is for Q1 is to do a drill scenario audit, the drill rigs. It'll probably be closer in March. The committee needs to meet and discuss that. That subcommittee needs to meet and discuss the final date on it. But I'm looking towards March to keep it in Q1. But it'll be a drill rig incident utilizing a helicopter out in the forest out there to land. So ERT is doing a LZ class tomorrow to brush up on working around helicopters, and then we'll plan for that, like I said, in March.
Any discussion on that one? Anything like that?
I know you said you have a LZ out there somewhere on one of the sites,
There's 2 of them, yeah.
too, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, that's good.
They're unapproved sites, they're dirt lots, but they do have windsocks and they're clear of vegetation and everything else, so.
Okay, well, that's good.
Have we taken your equipment out to those?
I haven't ever been out to there at all.
And that F-150 is about the only thing I'd take out there.
Yeah, I don't think your equipment can, I'm not sure it can get out there, yeah.
Yeah, just
And the brush truck.
the brush truck or the TRV
Yeah.
is.
We don't want to take anything out there.
TRV the one to take is full drive,
Yeah.
there's room for patients in the back, probably the first time we've done that, to get out to an area. Oh, that's what probably utilizes that. And with equipment and whatever else we need to get out there.
So you guys, the subcommittee will meet on that?
Yeah, we'll meet on that date and
Right.
Yeah, we're good.
And there's good value from these exercises for your groups, you're getting good value back?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
if
you
there's,
bet.
if something bad, if it's not good value, just share it with us and so we can make adjustments and.
I'll be back. No, this is all good learning, man. Just to get out there and see how to get out there, where it's at, you know, what can happen out there, and communications, you got hills, whatever, so that's a good thing to do, it really is. Yep, I'm good.
Alright, move on to B, discussion and feedback on NIMS instant command compliance for the whole town. Word document attached to agenda. This is it there.
So, my only comment would be, we're doing a lot of drills, and they're great drills. I think that if you look at section 5.5, it says that you're supposed to evaluate NIMS implementation on your drills in order for them to qualify, and it's a pretty high bar for the number of drills you're supposed to do that with.
There is.
My suggestion is we go through these numbers and put them at least in half.
I agree with that, because I wanna make it achievable, not something that's not achievable. So if we cut in half, I think we can probably achieve some of those.
Yeah, we don't have any gear for tabletops, though I think that that's something that we may want to start implementing.
Yeah, we've mentioned that before, talking about the tabletop.
Do we have any tabletop resources in our business?
Like what? Give me an example.
Anything, do we have, most of, like Kennecott has a room like this that's set up with a map of the facility. They have trucks and equipment and roads, and you can actually run through an exercise right on the tabletop.
Is that what you're asking for, Todd, or?
Just essentially, yeah, they have sandbox setups that fire departments use. It's basically a Cadilla and a big square box.
And the same thing, we can just move around the mountains, you know, like in, you know, forest, exercises for forest fires, you know, with equipment around there and
Yeah.
hills and just simulate the mountain.
that's something we might consider for the next capital expenditure discussion is a tabletop setup. If we're gonna put it into our policy. I would say, we're doing 4 drills a year, and now that we've really got up to speed on the joint drills, making them NIMS drills makes sense.
It does.
You don't have to necessarily, you only have to do a full scale once a year, which is pull out all the forms and establish all the positions, which you probably could have done with your team.
Yeah.
But, you know, every time we implement NIMS, you know, incident command's established, and we follow that procedure, then, you know, that's a NIMS drill. And at the end of the drill, when we write the report, you gotta put a section in each report from the drill saying NIMS compliance, was evaluated, you know, however it turned out, kind of thing. So that way we're actually complying with this policy. One of the other questions I have is, it's great, but we're working together. Resolution, are you guys gonna adopt something similar for NIMS or something a little more scaled back, or?
So we've trained everybody at this point, in 100, 200, and then our supervisors in 400. So we'd be, you know, you guys would be leading it, but we'd, you know, joint, unified task force, unified command, sorry, we'd be able to run.
Yeah. So, all right, so it's a similar, if you guys are adopting a similar
Yeah.
structure for your,
For the lower end for the incident scene, and then the BRT, what he was referencing is all to specific.
yeah, but you know, Rio, like 400 is designed for that situation, where you have a large corporate group that might be directing the operations, but they have emergency responders and subs reporting to them.
Yep.
So 400 is really relevant in this situation, and I don't know if our department has anybody to 400 yet, so the chief and I.
I don't think so.
Okay, so that's something to
That's
watch.
21.
You need to look at the.
Those are 2-week-long classes though, so they're not 300 and 400, so this policy is what we're working toward, it's not what we are today.
Like I mentioned prior to this, the policy I got from Tom Florence was more of a command setup. Not a whole lot of drill setup,
Yeah.
but that's what they used.
A lot of the towns have gone to that, but this is what NIMS actually, if you look at the requirements for NIMS, we have the ICS structure, which is one of your adopted policies already, and I'm sure police has a similar command structure when adopted. But this is just for NIMS compliance and you know, your training and everything for NIMS. So this is a separate thing. It is required in the NIMS legislation, but nobody does it. We were supposed to, Pinal County reached out to me 3 years before I was no longer the chief, asking us to implement this and to be the first one in the county to do it. I don't know if anybody else has done it since, but it's not something there's a lot of road behind.
You try to ask people and they're like, no, you know. It's
Yeah.
It is a requirement in law, but a lot of the things in the NIMS law are requirements, but that only comes up if they actually audit you. And you have to be pretty big to get audited.
So the two gaps that you have, that we have today, is the training level and the number of exercises that we do. So is that something that we should be tracking in this committee, to say that we have this many people that are trained at certain levels? And keeping track of that as a running item for the minutes? And then is it also the same for the number of exercises? We should have that in the minutes, we keep a rolling 12-month average, or?
They need at least to be a file somewhere. The way it was described to me is your NIMS, there are a lot of drills that qualify for NIMS. You put them at, you just have to have some sort of report saying it's done, and you have to put it in the file, and you have to save that. You could put a system together to track that. I think it would be an excellent thing to do. The core thing is, if we're ever audited, you need to have those training records. There's a certain number of training records you need. One, at least full-scale drill every year is absolutely vital. And that's what Country Thunder is for Pinal County. They do their full-scale drill at Country Thunder. So, we could do the same thing, do it at an event.
Yeah, you could do it as a Apache Leap Day, or festival, something like that, we put something together.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the last one we did was the smelter tour.
Probably Charlie.
Yeah. So
What?
then
Smelter stack,
November.
Oh, we actually did one, we did one on the Brill Run too.
that's right, you guys messed that up with the board.
But you have to establish all the commands and
Yeah.
positions and fill out the paperwork for each position, and then take all those forms and stick them in a file for the full scale.
Captain Drennan did a little good job with that, he gets all that stuff set up for us.
So do we also involve the Pinal County people, or do we,
Absolutely, if you, they would love
do
to.
they
be
come
part
out
of
and
it.
observe, or do they participate?
They haven't done that for us in a while. They did it they came out for the smelter, and they came out for the first one we did, which was about 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Almost that way. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. But county managers changed since then, so the county emergency manager has changed since then, so I don't know if they would do it. You could ask. But all they did was sit there and monitor. They were just the monitor for the thing. I sat there and took notes and graded our response and wrote a report on it at the end. And that's good for a full scale to do.
So since this is a discussion item, can we suggest that we keep those two metrics and start just gauging, so there's a common, we're all saying the same thing, we all understand where the records are kept and where the file's kept for training purposes, and so that it's easy to defend it, and we may be in compliance today and we just don't know it.
So who wants to house it? Does the fire department want to house, like the ICS certificates and stuff like that, is that what we're talking about? Or-
Yeah, we have them on all of our guys in the files at the fire
Individual
department.
agencies, that needs to be in their training file and their
Yeah,
but we
personnel
keep our
file.
own stuff.
So you got
But
that.
do we
No,
wanna
this is the
create something
drills.
in the center? Oh.
But you're talking about like a
Yeah.
spreadsheet or something that tracks everybody's
Yeah,
compliance.
we could do that.
You know, we're supposed to file that every year with with NIMS. They request it. I used to do that. I don't know if you guys are doing it currently. They request a compliance form from us every year. If you look on the computer under NIMS, there's a report in there that I filled out every year that shows exactly what our NIMS compliance was. So you could share that with everybody in this group and we could see, what the baseline is and what we gotta be tracking.
Look into that. I haven't done that.
Then I don't know if they stopped requiring it. Again, the county emergency manager turned over, so I don't know if they're even asking that. Mike Sims used to be the one who would require it. He's not there anymore.
I would suggest fire keeps the actual
Trains.
drills, right?
Drills, we can do
I
that.
mean, you guys are already putting them together, so, and other departments are just ancillary resources to you, right, so.
And fire is the one that's used to most multi-jurisdictional responses more than any of the other agencies, because they do it all the time.
Is this just an exercise where it's not gonna give us value, or is this something that we should be doing, we should try to be doing over the long term? We keep good track of where we're at on these types of,
NIMS is one of those things that it's a political agenda that may or may not have a huge amount of value depending on your viewpoint. NIMS is all about the 9/11 response and the fact that, there were multi-agencies on scene that were not communicating
Yeah.
and many people died.
radios, yep.
But it's also, when they start talking about, they talk about Valdez for the big multi-agency response, the 400 is all about Exxon Valdez. So it is, yes, it has value, and yes, speaking plain language on the radio is one of the basic principles, so that everybody can communicate together, and, a commonly understood command structure, it has extreme value.
That's what that was common words
Yeah.
for everyone understands.
But the more advanced stuff, an agency our size is unlikely to use it. It doesn't mean that we couldn't have a major mine accident up there where you would have a mine rescue team and a bunch of agencies on it. We've had fires, my largest one's 11 agencies on fire. A hazmat, I have 11 ones. So it does come up. And the better we are at it, the more likely people are to trust us and leave us in command and let us do our thing.
So by being in compliance with this, does this get us leverage for grants or?
If we apply for
Funding.
federal grants, it has a checkbox saying, are you in compliance? And you check the box, and they could theoretically audit you. It doesn't happen in agencies our size very often. Pinal County's been audited, but I've never heard of one of the small fire departments been
Are we applying for grants today?
constantly, but I don't know of any right now.
The last one was the AFG grant, just got
Yes.
turned down for, we went we thought we were actually gonna get it,
All it
because,
is, the ends.
because they asked for the information at the end, everybody told us, we're gonna get it, so we actually kinda got our hopes up a little bit. It was for all new SUVs, 118,000 or so, and right at the end, we just didn't get it, so, it'll be it again, but.
Which means you got to the actual committee that, living, breathing dudes who reviewed it and decided not to give it to you. Because you got through all the previous screening and forgot that.
Right,
So
fire off subs grant, they did a government highway safety, but we didn't get that one either.
You gotta wine and dine that guy again.
Yeah.
if we're doing this, let's just, in the next session, maybe bring back where we're at on the training records, you know, and write down where the training records located, how many are, you know, 100 trained, how many are 200 trained, you know, on up. And if it's that spreadsheet that Todd is talking about, you know, if we could ask the departments to do that, and it's not a lot of, I think it's, the first time to do it, it might be quite a bit of work, but
It's not
to
too bad.
maintain it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the same way with the exercises too, in this group, we should be able to iron out the exercises pretty quickly. And if there's some kind of report and online stuff, who's supposed to be doing that? And
There's no online report, there is a report to the, Pinal County was collecting them all when we were submitting them, but, you know, I'll find the report and I'll send it to you.
Okay, I haven't seen it, so I haven't been doing
And
it.
nobody's been
Stock
stalking
County's
them?
never asked anything of
Right.
us to,
On the-
even the meetings I've been to with them before, them does not mention, so.
Yeah, my
Maybe
only
some
emails
changes.
crashed, I don't have them anymore, so I'll have to try to find that, but I can give you the spreadsheet, I'll send it out to everybody.
Okay. Good deal.
I don't wanna just ask to do things just for the sake of doing things. If it's gonna help us get federal money, let's find
Sure.
ways to just, you know, keep track of things on spreadsheets so we can demonstrate that we're in compliance or we're very close, you know?
It's not gonna help, but it could hurt if we don't.
But yeah, I don't see a reason not to.
Yeah. And, but it also, it is the way we talk to each other. It's a basic communication structure for multi-agencies, and it is a good thing for this group especially, because that's exactly what we're doing.
So that's 5.2, 5.5, and then the other one was the compliance spreadsheet, which I think the compliance spreadsheet is the same as 5.2, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just all these things listed and showing who's trained to what. And it's only about 4 years old, so you have all the latest, I mean, you'll have to update it. But all the old people are on that department, that when you got.
The NIMS, last time we did it, we're at the old station, and we started doing the NIMS right after 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody should be the first, the 1, 2, and 7, because we require that in our task book, so we know everybody should have that unless they're red shirt, you know, still reserved or.
Yeah, we just started department-wide 100, so we're at the very beginning of everything, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Just gotta work through it.
Yeah.
So the gentleman that came out and trained us.
Yep.
That was 400 level?
He started at 100.
He's from Pinal County, correct?
Yeah. He's the trainer for Pinal County.
Yes.
1 and 2 are all online, right?
It's,
But he did a live class for us.
My first life was a life class too.
Yeah.
You can take, the certification test actually online.
Yeah, he wouldn't certify it, we had to go online and do the certification, yeah, you're right. Art something,
7's
Can't remember
online
the
too, I believe, isn't it?
Huh?
7's online as well.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you get into like 300 and 400, those are a much higher hill to climb. So, and, you know, finding a class, I had to go to Sierra Vista to get my class.
So, I wrote down 4 points for the next time, and correct me if I'm wrong. The first one is the training records, which is 5.2, that we're gonna get a handle on where they're at. And then use that to build the spreadsheet, which is the second point. And then use that spreadsheet information to determine what the online reporting is, which is the third point. And you're gonna share with that, Todd, right?
Yeah, if I can find it, it's been a long time, I'll have to try to.
And then the third thing is what kind of exercises we've done, and just start keeping track of that. And maybe at the next meeting, we can start introducing those things in a regular part of this meeting and just have as a standing agenda item that where we're at on that, on a 12-month rolling basis, you know?
That'd probably be the best, just so we can stay with it, right? And the best thing to do is just so we stay with that.
And do any of those training expire? They're all one time only, right?
yeah, yes. However, you forget it if you haven't done it in 5 years.
I think I did it, not
You will,
this,
yeah,
I
you
did
can.
it
You
different
really
with the LA City Fire Department, probably in 90, this is before my kids were born, 94, 93, somewhere in there, maybe earlier,
Changed, yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah, it's been a while.
thank you, that was a good discussion.
Are we, anything else on that for this time? Is that something that we're gonna
What about the modifications?
keep on the
to this?
agenda as far as?
Yeah, I would suggest to the chief that you go through and you look at the training schedules and you make it more practical. I don't say we'll eliminate them all, but.
No, I agree with you. That's one thing, like I said, when I started looking at this, you guys asked me this a long time ago. I want to see other departments, what they did, but I seen ours was pretty hard to achieve, a lot of the drills and training, so. Yes, I can maybe look into
You're
that.
doing 4 drills a year, and if we just added as part of the evaluation, a section saying we're evaluating NERMS compliance, then those all would qualify. So you'd have to add a tabletop and maybe a full scale, and do those, and I think that's doable.
I think so.
Do we do hazardous material responses at all?
No.
No?
We will get there and secure the scene, but actual,
The actual responses, you don't have the equipment, you don't have the
you
suits?
know, the training.
They're
we have,
certified to operations level, which is
Yeah.
probably similar to what your guys are. You don't have
Yeah.
to, I was the only tech on the department and I was never equipped. So even if I had a team, I had no equipment to do anything.
Okay.
So some will.
Well, it's
But
looking
yeah.
at the placard and making a decision really quickly based on what's on the
Yes.
placard.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, we got all that down, yeah,
okay.
as far as that
And
training.
that may be, look at the ERT, you gotta look and back off, right?
Yes,
And make sure people are backed off.
Has something changed with the, because up there at number 9, and well, there's no placards anywhere in sight.
We're in the process of still working on that.
Because there's,
What he's referencing is we had a fire back in the day that they responded to that was a C-can that had no labeling whatsoever and nobody could tell them what was inside it, so
So
let it burn.
a placard is a DOT placard.
well, you've got the 4 square one, which is.
NFPA or the HMIS 4-part diamond, you
right,
have that.
Yeah, and there's some of your sites which are compilations of everything that's in there, like if you look at the warehouse at number 9, where all the drill supplies are, that's a big mix of different chemicals, so you're gonna have to find the worst at each category and put that number on the placard.
And combustable's probably a 2 in there, it's, or maybe a 1.
It's probably got more corrosives and it's got a lot of lime
Exactly.
and stuff,
Yeah.
and that if you've got lime and acids in the same place, then, that's a whole other conversation about whether you can put water on it, and then, that's what your placarding should be, but as of last time I made an inspection up there, there was no placarding at all.
Good,
That'd be helpful. Really. Okay.
thank you.
all right, are we good on that? Item B on the NIMS?
I am, I'm good.
Okay, that's something we'll just keep on the agenda every meeting, right? For discussion. We'll move on to C, discussion review the agreement for the emergency services agreement on resolution representation.
That was approved, correct? That's what's in the minutes, that's all we were gonna do is attach the minutes from the town council that approved it, and there was a consent item, wasn't it?
Well, which one are the
We're on
approving
C.
expenditures?
We're on
No,
C.
that's
C.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, we're on C.
I was confused there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at D.
There was a question about the makeup of this committee. That is covered on page 4 of the contract. And item, let's see. Item A. Within 30 days of the execution of this agreement, the town and RCML shall establish an emergency services committee. The committee will consist of 2 fire personnel, 2 police department personnel, 1 one town staff council member, 2 RCML representatives, and a committee delay person. Our committee delay person has resigned, and we have posted that job for several weeks now,
A very long time.
for quite some time, and had 0 applicants, so we would have to actually go out and recruit.
Okay.
I don't know if you know anybody who's interested.
I'll look around.
Rudy Robico used to be on that, I don't know if people want to come back.
So my concern from that was that, when, on the roll call, we asked who's sitting in for somebody, and really what it is 2 that have authority to be there, so.
And that's, if you look at, this is the only guidelines that council has accepted as agreement, but do not separately impanel this committee. It's impaneled by the contract. So this is the guideline. And that just says that it's an ex officio position, so any 2 policemen, any 2 firemen.
And any 2 council members or town staff,
Uh,
or anyone,
The council did officially appoint someone for that, they appointed Michael Alonso for that, but the layperson one is the only one that says there has to be anything more, which is we have to agree on a process, and we agreed that we were gonna post the position and appoint them to the town council to the spot, if we can get an applicant, which didn't happen, so.
Where have we advertised it?
It's in the newspaper, I believe did we put it on the website?
Side, it's on our,
It's not like we're going out and shaking the trees,
No.
to answer the question, we need to go recruit if we're gonna get somebody.
Yeah. Really, it should be somebody impartial, right? We can get somebody from resolution from down here, but that's not gonna, you know, like same thing with fire, police, right?
We want a community delay person, and there are a few that are willing to do this, that we'll have to reach out. It's not a large group of people who are volunteers.
We want to hear opinions, how the community is viewing this group. And ask hard questions, right? If we're just rubber stamping things and we're not really holding ourselves accountable, we need to hear that.
I would agree. I don't know where we're gonna find that, but I would agree. Most of the time, the layperson sits there and stares at us like we're strange animals. But, I can try to get somebody.
Okay, I think, you know, it's actually, the committee's operating very differently than the first time I came in April of 2018 now.
Yeah.
And I enjoy this meeting. I look forward to it every month, so thank you.
All right, any more on that discussion?
Because I get some politics with Todd.
So we're just gonna continue to work on that to get a layperson and try to
If
get it out there.
anyone knows anyone that would be a good fit and they meet our requirements, is actually engaged, that would be great.
Do they go to town for that?
There's
What's
a-
the only requirement? Live in town or?
It's just, you have the description, I believe it's,
It's on the back
you have to
page.
have a pulse.
I
and
can
all
let
that.
you put that in the back page.
Yeah. Pretty much have to be a
Right, there's
pulse.
all the, right.
We've never been able to get terribly restricted just because there's never a ton of applicants.
They just have to put an application with a letter of interest.
There's no age requirement. They could be a 14-year-old kid. They have to be a voter.
Make it interesting anyway, I guess.
We actually had a high school student appointed to the town council once.
Yes.
That was fairly entertaining.
Okay. Alrighty then, we'll move on to D, Town Superior, November 14th, 2019, Town Council minutes approving the 1920 capital expenditures for the police department.
Thank you for including that. That was helpful. I learned that Todd was approving I asked him when I came in that he was approving the alcohol permits for the town. And he said, no, that was just in the month of December.
Yeah, it is so weird law around this. Somebody has to approve them, but like, for instance, I can't approve the state ones, because the state ones have to be approved by the council, and they're trying to change the law to make that happen, but it's but anyway, yeah, they did approve all the expenditures that you guys had approved, so it kind of was a circle. And we have sent out the invoices to resolution for those. We put in the full amount of the capital expenditures because the capital expenditures always come in over budget. Because by the time we get through this 3-month process it takes to get them approved, the prices have changed. So, but we do have to, I have a meeting with Heston tomorrow, I'm gonna submit all the financials to him. We can copy this group on them too, we'll scan them and send them to you guys if you like. It shows what we spent so far this year and what we spent last year, so it's good information to share. I haven't evaluated it yet, I haven't broken into it, but that's kind of what our meeting is with Heston tomorrow. But we have 4 other contracts to discuss too.
At the end of this, Dr. E can add something to it, to this meeting. Just,
If it's not on the agenda, you can't talk about it.
Okay.
You can request a future agenda item.
we will.
That's on the item D, any more discussion on that? The police department capital expenditures?
Thank you. I'm going through it.
He's already been spending for a month, you guys are behind.
Hey, are the tires holding up on the
Oh
bicycle?
my gosh, yeah. They're awesome. They're good bikes. We've been taking them on some serious hills, you know, just testing them out.
Well, the new Lost Trail, that's gonna actually be quite useful. I mean, they're checking out this little race, side-by-side to the kids tomorrow, because they're gonna be out on the trail, and they need some help getting up to it. Do teach them not to roll it, tell Sandy not to teach it.
Won't tell them, but, you know.
Right.
They're young kids, but we're about 60% through, burned through that money so far, so, yeah, thank you very much. Helpful.
Right, town, item E, Town of Superior, January 9, 2020, Town Council legal statement approving 1920 capital expenditures for fire department.
And I just put in the legal statement because the minutes haven't been approved yet. But the legal statement is the one that we published and it says approved, you know, I just write approved on it and then publish it.
Okay.
Neither of these were discussion items, the council approved them without any conversation. They come to trust you guys a little bit, which is a good thing, but don't abuse it.
Great.
Back on the ESA agreement on item C for new business, if I could just ask a question on that?
Sure.
What's the expiration date on our ESA?
We have another year, and we need to start talking about it. It's, it will expire, let's see, it's a 5-year agreement, that means it expires in 2021, first day of March 2021. So we have a year to get this thing renegotiated.
We should discuss that with Dustin tomorrow.
I should, but it's also tied up a lot in the ESA, because the socioeconomic impacts may be covered under a new foundation, which may make this one a moot point. I do think that this committee has value, and we ought to continue with it, whether or not it's covered in this contract. Maybe the council would have to formally approve it or something, so.
Okay.
We'll talk, we'll have to address that. To me, that's the biggest issue with
Yeah.
with moving to the other socioeconomic approach.
So we have a year to get ready for that, but
Austin,
let's
just more
do
than a
it
year.
sooner.
And I might have broached this with Heston, but that guy's a little overworked right now, so it's hard to get him to focus on just one of those little items. But I will have him look in.
You could tie him down to a chair, I think you could probably get his attention.
11 minutes.
He is all over, I hear that.
But we still have time, so I haven't freaked out, my head's not spinning, but we do need to get on it.
So we have one more funding cycle, is that what I heard?
Yes. This next one is the last one.
So kind of keep that in mind, please. And we make sure that we include that tabletop.
Yep.
All right, is that it on each as well? Next, one thing left is item 6, the adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn.
One motion to adjourn.
Motion, a second. Paul Neese, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned, 18:37.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did pretty bad the other day.